Good day, everybody. Now let's talk about the climate change from Kyoto Protocol to COP26. I think this is a very relevant and interesting one, as the world just finished, even now still going on in discussion under the COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. Now, I will start with the behavior of the giants. Why I say the giants? Because we believe, and it has been proven, and we will see later on, who produce more CO2 give damage to the environment. Under the Kyoto Protocol 1997, it says that industrialized countries and economies in transition to limit and reduce greenhouse gases. How they will do that? Basically, they will not stop to do or to emit CO2 so long as you can buy from the other worlds who have an access, yes? That's what we call market-based mechanism, which in detail come in three mechanisms, sub-mechanisms: international emission trading, clean development mechanism, and joint implementation. But to make it simple is, as I mentioned before, you can still produce provided that you can buy from somebody else. Yet United States refused to ratify the Kyoto Protocol because it thinks, I guess, although it has been discussed for a long period by more than 100 countries, because it says, because it only, talking about the greenhouse gas, which is produced by CO2 and methane and so on, where the production is contributed more by the developed countries. And then it comes later to Paris Agreement to 019 or to 015. This is quite different from Kyoto Protocol, although still under UNFCCC, because now it becomes a treaty internationally binding on climate change by saying where the global warming will be limited to below 2 and 1.5 degrees Celsius. If under Kyoto Protocol, it only imposed to the industrial countries and economies, but nowadays it goes to all the world. It says nationally determined contribution. It means every country has to contribute, not only the industrial countries. Of course, you contribute your contribution. There is voluntary, and there's also compulsory, but you are expected, because it's binding, you expect it to be still on your commitment. Yeah, so every country who signed the Paris Agreement, it's more than 170 countries. But you know what happened? United States under Trump checked out from Paris Agreement only into 017, and they would say nothing. That's what I say, behavior of the giants. Later on, when Joe Biden on his campaign, where he defeated Trump later on, what he did, the first thing after he was in the office is to sign and said he want to re-enter again the Paris Agreement, rehails the climate change issues. The world glorifies him, not like in the Trump before. So it means, I will say, everybody, every countries, just see the behavior of what these leading countries doing, and as if all countries, all other countries become the vessel or the followers of the giants. The climate change does not come in one day, but if you see the history of the climate change, we'll find here, we are not talking about the past. Let's just stop when the revolution industry started, let's say here in 18th century, the revolution of industry. So you will see that it goes, the heating, here, you'll have the heating of the globe start rising here. And if you see in the very right picture, that if no human influence, actually the temperature is still around here. But since the human influence, the temperature going up to more than 0%, up to almost 2%. Or 1.5%. That's why under the Paris Agreement, they put this, because that's based on the history, okay? And then let's go to the next one. We will see Let the data talk. Actually, who emit more of the CO2? According to the data that we got from our world data, everybody can access this anyway. Let's see. In 1858, I put this one as a start because this is the very early stage of the industrial revolution. By that time, the United Kingdom was the leader, and you see they produce more CO2. And then when it goes to you see here the big six: United Kingdom, United States, Germany, Canada, Russia, and India. But after World War I, in 1915, the role of the England, British has been overtaken by the United States. So United States becomes the CO2 emissions bigger cumulatively here. See that one? But after Deng Xiaoping come into the power, if you see that one, in 1970s, and then you'll find China. Okay, China come here. See that one, and then China here. And as in the industrial countries, it goes rise up. Indonesia is still far below here. Actually, for us, it's not quite a big issue unless we want to make it become issues. What's the message of this one? Industrialization and CO2 emission are positively correlated. Secondly, the current global heating was gradually and built up exponentially. So it does not come in one night, and never forget the history. I would say, actually, who will pay these greedy imbalances? To be fair, it has to be someone who emit more. That's, I think, the fairness. Now let's see where is the greenhouse gas comes from. When you see here the global greenhouse gas emission from all sources, you will see that most of them coming from fossils. Yeah, if you see the one out of the 60, more than 30 gigaton CO2 emissions, it comes from fossil, and it keeps increasing. And then CH4, where you call it from methane, and then F-gas, and then land use change or conversion. So basically CO2 production and usage. Who produced? Because this is the most. Let's go using what you call it, because you see most of them from here. So let's see actually who produced most of this time. Let's see now who is the biggest six. See here. Now, if you're talking CO2, China is number one here. While before, as we mentioned, is United States here, right? China, because they want to rise up their economy. Only industrialization can make you lift up your economy. And then you see USA, EU, European Union, India, Russia, Japan. The rest are the contribution of the world. So most of them are from here. But if you see the per capita in the right-hand side, you will see, actually you will say that the United States is lower, then it's bigger than China. Okay, because that's due to the what you call the population. But if we are consistent with this one, it means Indonesia actually it's very, very low because we have 270 million and we are very sitting at a very low level of emission, as I mentioned before here, right? Indonesia is still low here. So basically, to me, it's not quite the issue, basically, if we want to be consistent in there. Now, so that's what I call the magnificent 6 world polluter countries. Now, when everybody's talking about climate change, to me, let's see how the world projected warm by 200100. It's around only 80 years from now. If you see the historical, where everybody commit in the world under the Paris Agreement, etc., nothing changed. It's keep rising. And if the behavior, the patterns going on, it will only be here in 2060 and 2070s. Why this one become going down? That's most of because all the countries say they will go to net zero and carbon neutral, etc. But under the headway where in Paris Agreement, what was said 1.5 up to 2 degrees Celsius, actually it has to be like this. It has to be start from here, but nothing happened so far. Everybody doing business as usual. The target is very ambitious. The question again is who help who and who suffer from who. Why suffer? Because if you stop, as a developing countries, for instance, if you stop to what do you call it, to be industrialized country, so you will depend on them who has been advanced. And then who will get benefit from who? The one who produce more industrial-like things. That's what I got just merah. Jangan sekali meninggalkan sejarah. Do not forget the history. Whose footprint on CO2, it more to damage the environment, they should pay more. It should be this one who is responsible more, right? Not the one who is very loving, like here, Brazil, Indonesia, everything else. That's what we call fairness. Okay, let's go down here. But the world's only talking and barking. What has been agreed actually last week, this is November 2021, I just wrote this one. Everybody only walk, talk, bark and dark, left backing. Let's see here, one by one, this is what happened. I took this from the, which was written yesterday here. More than 100 world leaders promised to end and reverse deforestation by 2030, including Brazil, a hope to Amazon rainforest. My question is, any compensation went away from forest? Developing countries are depend on it, you know, as a source of income, where they do their lives, farming, rice, cooking, etc. On the other hand, it is their forests who produce oxygen, who extract, neutralize the CO2. But now what the country says, 100 leaders promised to end and reverse. Why they are not talking about CO2? Why they're just talking about to reverse deforestation? This is not fair. Let's say in a second. US and European Union announced global partnership to cut emissions. Okay, this is good. On greenhouse gas methane, but they're talking about methane. They're not talking about the, what do you call it, the CO2, which coming from more from the industry, but from the methane, from the agriculture again. Attacking methane, CH4, it's from coal, natural gas, oil, livestock, agricultures. Why not talking from industrial CO2 case? Go to number 3. More than 40 countries commit away from coal. Okay, cool, that's good. But the world's biggest users, like China and US, did not sign up. So they asked somebody else to clean up the mess at their cost, but leaving these big countries taking benefit. The giants, I say, talk and barking only. And then let's go to the last. Some new posts of money were announced to help developing countries adapt to climate change and deal with damage and loss it brings. But many says it's not enough. To me, a kind of enough is some begging. Money does not help. Even really what we have under starting from the Kyoto Protocol, when you get market-based mechanism where you have introduced the carbon credit, this is something without misleading. Because you can still buy, you produce more so long as you have money, you buy from someone else. Actually, who brings the damage? That should be the point. It's not about injections of money to the developing countries as if you give charity. Now let's stop and barking. Fix the damage, it's more important. See that one. I took the data from GHG emissions overview greenhouse gas. Let's see overview US greenhouse gas emission in 2019. You see, more of them come from carbon dioxide. And in the previous slide, I showed that carbon dioxide comes from industrialization. Methane is only 10%. And in methane, we, the developing countries, yeah, probably we contribute more, but actually it is this one. Nitrous oxide, 7%. FL gas is only 3%. And now let's see in US, where it comes from. They do it for their electricity, industry, transportation. Most of them are using that because they don't want to reduce, what do you call it, their pleasures, residential, commercial. Some of the countries in the world even does not have any access to electricity. But now we are limited. We are asked to stop. You have to have your national determined contribution. That's on one side. Oh, that's fine. On the other hand, they say, no, leave what we do, our business as usual. This is unfair. And then they even introduce what they call carbon credit, carbon trading. You have to comply with the market. You know what happens? To me, it's a kind of irony. Assume this is that countries where we emit less because we don't have the capacity to produce more. On the other hand, you have emitter A who produce more. They have a big industries, for instance, output. What they say is here, so assuming this one is the standard, allocated just the emission units here. This, let's say on corporate level, this corporate, or maybe on country level, still allowed to produce, to emit CO2 as much as you can, provided that you can buy from someone else. This is not fair, because this country will keep going up. The production from these countries, bigger country, are very expensive. While here, are very low. What do you call it? The competitiveness is very low. The exchange value is very low. That's why the jets is very low. For instance, here you produce here, what do you call it? Airplane here. Here, what you produce? Maybe only a chair. See, can you compare it? So I would say carbon credit is license permit to emit CO2 so long as you can buy from the one who has access. Access itself can be tradable. You have an auction, direct trading, swap, and you can still keep it. Keep banking, what I mean, you can store it. Yeah, like what? Like, for instance, you volunteer reforestation or go to renewable energy, etc., beyond what's been done in the to your NDC. And then the government regulations is to come. But using global standard apply, how can we expect the low-level countries to follow industrial level? And what happened? Either is it on regulated market, we apply cap and trade, volunteer market. But if you don't follow the regulation by the UA in the market and United States industrialized countries, you'll face a fine, tax, green certificate. Our country just being introduced a carbon credit tax. And that will be in the expense of the consumers who buy the production from big countries, from industrial countries. Volunteer, probably because you cannot follow them in regular way. Let's say you're in volunteer market. And who can sell this to the market? You know, volunteer to announce by renewable energy project, by improving energy efficiency. Again, technology talks. When you talk technology, the one who has an efficient technology is the developed countries. So it is them actually who tap the opportunity from this volunteer carbon market. Carbon, methane capture and sequestration. This is very expensive, CCUS. Land use and reforestation. You see, you reduce this one. This one, in order to have a little bit. And they say speculatively, if everybody follows this one, we can have this one. And currently, the market size is around here, still small. But not everybody can sell this one. It, what do you call it? Third-party verification, you need it. And then reputation do take part. So if there is a one country or one industry or one or the MNC who has their reputation, let's say Chevron or whatever it is, they say, now we are going to do our volunteer carbon market. This is our target, this is our achievement. Everybody will follow, will believe. And then, yeah, probably it rights. But if you don't have any reputation and you say, look, we do our volunteer cleanup, we have an access, probably people don't trust it, don't believe it. That's why, to me, it's kind of irony, actually. Well, I mentioned before, compliance or regulated, they usually call emission trading system, while on a voluntary basis, it can be offset by avoid, reduce, remove GHG emission, reforestation, independent standard bodies. This is not easy, the volunteer one, where we think we can do that, because here, probably we cannot do, because this very important, because you have a cap and trade, emission can sell, that's what I mentioned, target emitters. Freely allocated actions, market mechanism. All becomes commoditized. I mentioned to you before, the one who have global, who can tap the opportunity to sell their credits here is predicted European Union on ETS, emission trading system. They have that surplus. It's them, not you, not us. But it is them who produce more CO2. Come on, man. This is on a voluntary basis. It's very, what do you call it? Ironically, the one who produce more CO2, they also can sell the credit. The one who tried has been squeezed, we have to buy from them and will be fined, will be suppressed. Carbon tax, market limitation, green certificate, etc. It have to be, how can we become industrialized countries? Because most of the countries are based on what I call as the raw material base or extractive countries. Let's see here. We understand our president is very visionary. Our president Joko Widodo, he said we have to go to become industrialized countries because he understands. Let's say we're talking about lithium, which is later on to become a very base raw material for electric vehicle, where it will be reduce more of the CO2 emission from the transportation, as I mentioned before. But the contribution under the value chain is very low. From mining, let's see here, from mining, 1,000, but if you go to the mining, refining, so this is the value chain here, from mining, refinery, battery cell, battery pack, and you say it's very, what do you call it? The value chain, the contribution of mining is very small. So if we want to be part of this one, the value chain, so we have to be involved in everything here. Most of investment required in cell industries. Cell, and this is only here. We are still here. Try going here, but you see many countries already press us, including European Union, when they try to stop or to limit our nickel because we want to use it domestically. Oh man. But when we try to this one, people, we talk about ecology, indigenous people right, and then we global dependency. We cannot just do it. This is just mentioned. When we try to limit our nickel, and then European Union, everybody try to, what do you call it, to press us, try to bump us. But our president say, no, defend our right. We don't worry, you know, we are not afraid of WTO. Let's go fight. But actually, better we collaborate. That's what he says. Added value along the value chain from nickel to electric vehicle. You see that one from nickel, from ton nickel. We are still here, but when I try going here, no, we are not talking about electric vehicle along the value chain here. We've been begged. We've been asked to stop. So, but actually we want to be here. We want to have cooperation with whom? Now we have China is better rather than the United States or rather than the other developed countries, because we want to involve in almost all value chain. We want to have strategic partnering, transfer knowledge and technology. We want also the market is open reciprocally, and if possible, cross ownership. Not just they buy our nickel and then we buy their vehicle. How much you need? Come on, so you have to produce more your nickel as much in order only to get. That's what the vision of the president. We want to involve in everything else. Now let's see the behavior when you're talking about renewable and non-renewable energy. How actually the pattern of the world. You see that one? I show you. I try to open it as my data tops. See that one? From 1994 until 2020, 2019 here, most of the countries keep increasing, producing, and consuming. This is oil, this is natural gas, this is coal, and only small part going to, what do you call it, nuclear, hydroelectricity, and renewable. You see there, Western countries talking about nuclear, but they don't increase the portion. What they do, they ask us to Russia. Why don't they just do that one if they think it's safe and produce less CO2 to make electricity? If this is the global pattern, let's see region by region. Regional consumption pattern to 0.19. North America, where seeds, United States, Canada, here, they're still here. 85%. They rely on oil, crude oil, gas, and coal. South America and Central, 70%. Europe, see, 72%. Yesterday, maybe 2 months ago, when they say we want to stop our power generation using coal, but when they are short of gas, short of solar, they reopen it without any hesitation. That's their, what they call, safety valve. They're still here. CIS, even CIS, Russia, they don't care. Middle East, of course, Middle East, you know, because they produce only oil and gas. They are here. Africa, we in Asia Pacific, we're here. Only 11, 12, that's I mean, almost equals, yeah, 11, 12 with developing countries. What do you think this one? They suppress you, but they're still there. And then we have what you call it, SDG. Oh, this is very noble one. They're talking about sustainable development goal, where you have 16 to 17 objectives. And the very top is the poverty alleviation. And if you see the one, climate action is only here. But how the people works, the pattern of the world. Not much improved. What improved is industry, innovation, infrastructure. And this is who contributes here, who take part, who take benefits. Most developed countries, not us. No poverty, not much change. Climate change, not much change. What change is this one? Let's go to SDG number 1. Progress the world in SDG number 1, no poverty. Middle East, Sub-Saharan Africa, still on a very low level, not much different. The one, Oceania, still there. East Asia, yeah, we keep improving a little bit because, you know, like India, Pakistan, and us to some extent, we want to be industrialized country. We don't want to be crippled. We don't want it. And they, the highest one. What is this one? We see the countries, they're already here. They are not talking about, they are not thinking about, again, how to fulfill your hunger because they're already there. And now they are talking about climate change. They are talking about sustainable cities, communities, but they don't contribute much. This is the data. They are interested here. See that one? That's the irony of the world. Climate change has been what I call a new jargon to press the bulk. Neo-technology and market imperialism. There is an imbalance in exchange value. You keep produce raw materials at a very low level, huge quantity, only to get a high, only to get the technology in the market. Let's say this one, for instance, mobile phone. You know, the raw material for this one, maybe some of them are from third countries, but you need to huge produce in order to get only one. And this kind of things is produced by developed countries. And we try to go there to be part of the value chains, they limit you. That's the irony of the world. And also, it says you can still co-pollute the nature provided that you can buy the carbon credit. That's the market mechanism. Artificial CO2 reduction. Footprint in the past as if neglected, you know, 19th century, 18th century. When they become rich, and we try to become rich, and then we are limited. And charge again the poorer and weaker. This is not fair. And now they squeeze and limit your market, fund, technology. They only give you, not free, available to borrow. You can go to World Bank, you can go to IMF, they say, what this fund for? Is that from renewable energy? Is this something to do with coal? No way, they will say. They squeeze. Even they enforce to early retirement of coal-based power plant, where the existing one already there, and where our resources are based on coal. Can you imagine if you stop, make early retirement ahead of the time to replace it to the power gen, how much more money you need? And then what we'll do with the coal that you already have? And what we'll do with the region, with the people who work there? Do they really care? No. They only sell you the technology. They only provide to the fund, provide you follow them, and they still keep there. I'll show you, yeah. The world order does not change. The objective remain no change. In the past, old style up to World War II approach. Slavery, war, colonialism, annexation, liberation. That's the jargon by the time. Okay, we want to be more, what they call, more civilized. After World War II, where the winner is the developed countries. Now, United States and Europe, Japan, etc. Globalization, human rights, democracy embrace. That's under Bretton Woods system. You know the ironical of the World War II? The one who they defeated, Japan and Germany, now become the alignment of, what do you call it? The United States, Europe and Western, and everyone. So the alignment with the axis, they become one. They talk about money. They don't care whether you helped them in the past. And now new order jargon approach climate change, energy transition, carbon neutral by 2070, 2060. Let's see later on whether they commit to them or only they enforce talking, walking, barking, and live dark. Green certificate, access to global market. Green fund, say no to fossil-based power generation, Alama. Carbon trade, technology dependent, sustainable development goal. In fact, no sustainability. They're only talking about human rights, etc. But this is the world remains the same, still dies. What happened yesterday in Paris, COP26? We, our president, as the leader later on to be the presidency of G20 next year, we commit, we show that we commit tackling to climate change. But what you see, what other countries say? China does not appear there, although they become on the part 6. Absent from 26. Putin, Russia, skip COP26. Yeah, Biden may attack China and Russia missing COP26, although yesterday they made what they call it joint declaration that exists, they will follow. China and India among 22 nations calling key section. Who will pay? As I mentioned to you, when you put early retirement to your coal-based power plant, who will pay? we're talking about affordability of the people, talking about the access, talking about trilemma energy. From Brazil, Bolsonaro was not there. And he said it's no embarrassment. The big countries, see, US, Japan, China, and India, they don't want to pledge the coal, my friend. So why us now here want to say stop the coal? Even they who consume more, use more, and make polluting the world, the universe, did they stop? No, this is 7 days ago. I like actually what Al Jazeera says when they're talking about the nickel. When two elephant fights, UE, Indonesia tussle over resources. Our president commit to tackling climate change, but he says here, see that one? Indonesia ready to fight European Union at WTO over nickel export. What does it mean? We don't want only your resources for raw material where at the end of the day, I have to buy end product from you. Now we want to build up our industry along the value chains steadily, and we join the countries who can help us. We don't want the world to live in hypocrisy. Although our president says, that's what he said when he met the first time with the President Biden in this April summit, the webinar, he said collaboration is better than confrontation. Let the world collaborate. While we show our global responsibilities, we keep defend our right as well. That's the very nice of our president, Mr. Joko Widodo. But you see the other world, they are only talking, full of hypocrisy. Fact shows, news shows. I don't produce hoax. I have the data, I have the sources. Now, as a conclusion, do not let the big giant polluters countries walk away from the footprint they made and washing hands and preach like a Holy Spirit, as if they are what they call pilate the history of the past. I don't have any sin of the who says you guys. Collaboration and cooperation among nations is far better than and productive rather than keep talking, pointing fingers and barking towards the not so strong countries. Sustainable development goals should be a basis to a genuine collaborative effort to a more prosperous humanity. It has to be genuine, not artificial. Now, this is very important. As a nation who has history, a struggle nation, a patriot nation, while climate change issues is at the hotspot of the global as a mantra, we keep to measure our balanced position to the best interest of our nation. Indonesia is our nation. Let's see. Don't just what you call it. In my language, jangan menari di gendang orang. Don't dancing, what you call it, in the music of somebody else. Okay? You know, as I mentioned to you, I took some references. This is very new one. You have the data there. You can verify what I mentioned to you. It's there. Brothers and sisters, all fellows, thank you very much for your attention. See you on another occasion. So let me stop share. Thank you very much.